This podcast is sponsored by YSC Real Estate Group, offering a tailor-made service, versatility and expertise for all your real estate needs. Are you thinking about selling, buying, investing or having your properties managed? For more information, check our website, www.yscrealestategroup.com. We are passionate about real estate and we love to support local businesses. We hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Cheers.
Guys, welcome to episode number
29.
20, is it 29? Wow. We got Georgia Smith, the head of, how would you say it, the British Bulldog Companies?
Yeah, British Bulldog Companies, British Bulldog brand. I own the name, so you can call it whatever you want.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Carrying on the legacy.
Yeah, it's been going good. I just can't believe it's actually happening, and I'm so glad to be doing podcasts like this. As Jason and you guys can imagine, I do so many like wrestling related podcasts, and this is quite like a breath of fresh air doing this and seeing like you guys, knew me from back in Calgary.
Yeah.
Now I'm here in Florida, and it's thank you for supporting me on my journey.
Awesome.
Of course. Yeah, we've known each other. I remember going to the wrestling rink. I think it was the Hitman house, the Brett Hitman's
Heart
house.
House?
Yeah, the Heart House, the dungeon.
Yeah, that was my grandpa Stu's house. Yeah,
Stu's house is in Patterson.
Yeah,
Yep.
just behind the tennis courts there.
Yeah,
Yep.
there used to be a wrestling rink there, right? And then I know like us, we'd go there and just try to go on, and I remember you allowed us on a few times, so that was pretty fun.
Yeah, I remember that. And I remember you and we lived in Patterson and we got off at the same bus stop.
Yeah.
And you always there was like a little tree in front of your parents' house.
Yeah.
I don't know still there, but yeah.
And Harry was there, and Harry was a big guy
Yeah.
at that point. Yeah.
Yeah, he was always big,
Oh yeah.
always tall. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. And now,
Social media just brought us back together.
yeah, I've been following you and seeing your growth, and so yeah, I thought I'd reach out and kind of get behind the business with you and see what you've been doing, right? So yeah, let's dive right into it. Tell us what you were doing before and what kind of led you to kind of take the role, and like actually I feel like you've been pushing it a lot more in the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
What were you doing before? You're in Tampa Bay now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I guess, when did you move there? And tell us the story.
Okay, so I lived, as you know, I was born and raised in Calgary. But then when I was about 4 years old, I moved to Tampa because of my dad's job with WWE, and we lived here for 6 years, and then we went back up to Calgary. And we were up in Calgary from about 1996 to about 2007, and I moved back to Tampa because Harry got hired again with WWE. We always go back here for that. And I lived here for about 5 years, and then I went to England just for a change of pace and just wanted to change. And I went there for 5 years, and then I came back to Tampa in 2018, and I worked at iHeartRadio. But when I lived in Tampa before, I went to college for broadcasting and media and did different internships at NBC, Fox. I interned at daytime TV, just various places. And I was working full time. And then when I went to England, I dabbled in some voiceover work, and I was doing some stuff for my dad and kind of got a bit on TV down there as well. And then, I moved back down here in 2018, and I worked for iHeart. I worked at iHeart from about September 2018 up until last year when the pandemic all happened in March. And that's what I was doing. And I was doing some on-air stuff, mostly promotions, running the board, their social media. So I did the different event things, and I kind of learned a lot of things, like what worked, what didn't work, like presentation, social media while I was there. And at January of 2019, I had a situation where I had some heartbreak and was feeling pretty low about myself. And I was like, it's a new year, new me. What could I do to kind of fill this void, fulfill myself with something, and I
Was
just
that with
started.
was that with like a boyfriend or?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It was. I wouldn't really call him a boyfriend, but it was a guy that I thought was gonna go somewhere, and I got kind of dumped on New Year's. So
Oh
that,
no.
yeah, yeah. And I was
Who,
like,
who,
wow.
who would dump the British Bulldog's daughter, right?
On New Year's Day.
On
Well,
New
they came back.
Year.
And I called it. Yeah, it just wasn't gonna work. But yeah, so that had happened, and yeah, and then January, I think 3rd or 4th, I was like, I want to do something. I really want to like do something cool for my dad. And I follow Shannon Lee, Bruce Lee's daughter, and she runs Bruce Lee's page. And I liked how she had the tribute for her dad and how she's always posting content. And she's really, really taken that and ran with it. And it's successful and it's positive. And I don't know. I didn't expect anything from it. I didn't think any of this was going to happen. I just thought it'd be cool to post something of my dad every day and to see him in some capacity every day. And it was like a therapeutic experience, and I felt close to him, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And yeah, from there his followers grew, and WWE saw that, they verified him. And then he got into the Hall of Fame, and just different endorsements, different brands, different companies have reached out to me, and some companies who have shut the door in my face and told me like, we're not interested, now they're coming back and they want to do stuff. And my dad's he's got a comic book coming out, he's got a beer coming out, he's got a Funko Pop coming out.
A beer, you said?
Yeah, he's got a beer coming out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have given that away, but yeah, it's gonna be a British Bulldog beer.
Yeah.
Cool.
The people from Impractical Jokers, that show, they're a part of it. So it's just crazy how like it's just kind of branched off into different things. But running this page, it doesn't cost me money. It doesn't cost anybody to look at it. It's just, we're all in it for the common thing, which is for Davey.
Mhm.
And there was some, how my dad died. He died at a young age, and there was a lot of not negative stuff, but it was just kind of a sad thing. And I've just tried to shift things and change that, because I don't want that to be the last of my dad. Like he's remembered is how he died. I want him to be remembered for the legend and icon he was, and give him the credit that he deserves, and celebrate his life and celebrate the father he was to me and Harry, and just the impact he's made today on fans. And I've got new fans, and fans that were born when my dad was done wrestling, like in 2000, 2001, and they're reaching out and telling me how much my dad means to them. And it's just crazy, just and I'm finding out new things about my dad all the time running this page. So and new content, it's never ending. And I'm just grateful that my dad's done most of the work, but if I've helped give it a push and put spotlight on it, then yeah, great.
That's awesome.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's really pushing the legacy again, because it's like he was such a influential wrestler with the WWE at that time, and same with what's it called, Owen Hart, right? Like, 'cause I think they were like tag team champions, weren't they?
They were.
Yeah. So that was like
I watched them. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Bret the
Yeah.
Hitman Hart,
Yeah.
Owen Hart, British Bulldog. It was such a tight crew. So like we grew up watching that in like elementary, junior high. So
Yep.
it's pretty sweet that we were.
That was like
having
the
you
golden
on the
era.
podcast. Yeah, exactly.
That was the golden
Wrestling,
era. Yeah.
Hulk Hogan, yeah, Macho Man, Randy Savage, like all that time was pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's. I wish we could just like go back to that time, but yeah.
What was that like for you growing up in the wrestling scene? I mean, you must have met. I saw you had a picture with The Rock. Like
Hulk
how's
Hogan.
that? Yeah, Hulk Hogan. Like how is that growing up?
Well, growing up, I didn't know any different. Like that was just and people were like, that was your dad. He was my dad at the end of the day. And like these people like Legion of Doom and my
Oh god,
uncle,
Legion of Doom.
like, Sensational Sherry, Macho Man, like they used to come to my birthday parties and stuff. So that was kind of,
Crazy.
I didn't really think any different, but
Yeah.
it wasn't until I think I was at Disney World and Mickey Mouse and the people that were dressed up as like Donald Duck and Aladdin and stuff, they had their pen and paper asking my dad for an autograph, and I was like, wow, Mickey Mouse wants my dad's autograph, and then bringing my dad to school, like career day, bringing him and kids swarming around him, and him picking me up from school. He had a lot of attention. And I remember going to Chinook Mall and walking around with him, like going Christmas shopping, and people following him to the bathroom, like by the movie theater, and like waiting like outside his stall for him. And I was like, oh my God. I mean, that was like later on, and I was like 13. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah, my dad, he got a lot of attention, and he always signed autographs. He always took pictures. I think I only remember like 2 occasions where my dad was in a rush and he declined or just said like, I can't right now. But he always gave time to people, and it's crazy. Yeah.
So did you guys have 2 places, like one in Calgary and one in Tampa Bay? Is that why you're?
No, actually, the last house I lived with my dad was in Prominence View, kind of by where we all lived in Patterson. So he had lived there, and then he moved in with his girlfriend at the time. But yeah, he didn't have any like property here or anything. But when Harry moved down here, Harry got a place and I got a place. So yeah, it was two separate things.
Is Harry involved at all with the side of the business, or is it just you?
It's just me.
It's just you.
Yeah,
just you by yourself.
It's just me by myself. But I've had people, like I found different people that can help me. Like Harry's ex-girlfriend, who's like my best friend, she's in international trade, and she is a part of like ads and advertising and sponsorships, and she's got like that business head. So she helps me a lot with the business side of it. And then I have a friend who's like a fan named Yael, and he helps me with all the videos, any content I need or anything that I can't find. He's like my little investigator, and he helps me with all that and helps dig up things I've never seen before. And then there's me. So I've got a pretty good team there. But that's just us 3. Yeah. But at first it was just me by myself for the first like 2 years running everything.
What was what was like the first thing you did to get it going? Because you basically created like this whole business out of nothing, right? If you're so what was like the first thing you did to get started? Because it's like, and what was the idea? Just like, hey, I'm going to create something out of this because it's no one has done it yet. And yeah.
It was like that grassroots mentality, as somebody said to me. But I literally just started with the page, and every single day I post something. There's not a day that goes by I don't post something. And I might post something twice a day or multiple times a day, depending on like what it is. It's like if it's my dad's documentary and there's pictures or videos of it, I try to like do back to back and share that. But yeah, that's how that started, was just on Instagram. And then from there, I started the Twitter, what Yael helps me with. My dad's got a YouTube page, and it's all different videos of him. And it's kind of just branched out. He's got the Facebook, he's got a TikTok, believe it or not. But another thing that's helped me was just a notepad and a piece of paper, just writing down like what I wanted to accomplish, what I wanted to do. And I didn't expect or think that it would actually become reality. But everything that I wanted, I've done. And it was, I think a big thing of it is because I cared about it. And I think that's where success comes from, is if you're consistent and you're doing little bits every single day and you value it and you care about it. And obviously, it's my dad, so I would do anything for it. And I think that's, people have gotten behind that, and they see that, and they see like, and I think people think that like I've got all this like power and ties and connections, which I do to a point, but WWE didn't help me with this. It was just all me. And it was just the love that I got for him. So I hope that, people see that.
Yeah, it sounds like a huge passion project for you as well too, right?
Exactly,
so it's like
passion project.
You're committed to it. You can wake up every day, devote time to it, and stay consistent and just keep the brand growing. And I feel like that's a very important thing in business, is to have a passion and a commitment and a reason why. So I feel like you have all that in this. So
Thank you. That's been my goal. And somebody said to me as well, they're like, everything, like my house is turning into like a British Bulldog museum. I need like a bulldog room, but they're like, everything you do, you just want to be like surrounded by your dad. Like, it's like, he's not even gone. It's like, you've given him like a new life. Like, he's just everywhere. And I'm like, I know, I know. That was my goal.
Yeah. You mentioned that like WWE didn't like support you at the beginning. How like, and I think people might think like a lot of things were handed to you and it was easier. But I know you mentioned that it wasn't, right? How much work would you say you had to put in? And people, I think it's actually easier, especially if they think like it's handed to you, but it's really not, right?
It's not. It's really not. And I think people think that like, oh, well, she's no, it wasn't. Whatsoever. Like, and I'm not saying WWE were difficult or anything, but they're a big, multi-million-dollar brand, and they've got their own thing going on. Like, I'm Georgia Smith. Like, they got like, I'm not in their radar whatsoever.
Well, you just came out of nowhere, right? So it's like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it was just me just being persistent and just because it's like that old saying, if you don't ask, you don't know. So when I contacted them and was like, can I get my dad verified? And they did all of that. They're like, yeah, sure. They said, it might be a problem because he's deceased. And I said, well, Bruce Lee's deceased and he's got one. And then it was like minutes, it was up. Just asking the right people and just, I don't know, I'm not really good at taking no for an answer. So, and especially with my dad. So anything that I wanted, like whether it was, there was this jacket line and they made all these different wrestlers and there was never one of my dad. And like, I constantly was like, why? And then I kind of left it for a bit. And next thing I know, people tagged me and their main picture was a jacket of my dad. And I was like, huh? And they're like, oh yeah, we listened to you finally. I was like, oh, well, that's good. And also because it was an anniversary of like a SummerSlam pay-per-view, that my dad's biggest match was SummerSlam 92. So they were doing like putting it together, but yeah. Persistence paid off.
When did you realize though, like you wanted it, like it started becoming a business? Like initially it was passion, but like, was there a point where you're like, okay, yeah, this is actually happening?
That's a good question. I think maybe when he was going in the Hall of Fame, that when that had happened, and again, WWE took notice of what I was doing with his page and all the hard work I had done. And I also talked to certain people in WWE and they're like, hey, well, you never know. And I was like, okay. And I thought like, I'm not going to be a happy bunny if this doesn't happen. But yeah, I think once that happened, like just different companies and different people were like, hi there. So I think that's when that happened. And now it's really taken off. And I want to do like my journey. I've done everything I wanted to do in WWE, but my dad's journey's not over yet. Like I'd love to do like a clothing line. I would love to do like a movie, another documentary.
A movie.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Like,
that'd be crazy. So, yeah.
I'd love to do that. And he's got a documentary coming out on WWE. I'm not sure when it's coming out yet, but they were here in November and they flew my mom from Calgary to here. And again, they did it because of what's going on with my dad, because of his rise in popularity, which I was like, holy shiza. Like, I can't believe like, this is happening. Like I had it on my list, a documentary for my dad. But I can't believe it. And they want my dad's episode to be the second last, I think, or the last episode. They want it to be the most anticipated one. And yeah, it's just, that's crazy. So yeah, it's just kind of happened. And during COVID, when I got furloughed from my work, that's when I started the website for my dad and just kind of took things to the next level because I could only do so much on Instagram. And since the pandemic's happened, I've had an actual store, a wrestling store in England, and they just started and they wanted my dad to be their first store opening for it. So he's got his UK store and that's really taken off and I'm like running that. It's just, I don't know. It's just kind of like, I feel like it's like I'm putting out there what I want. Like I think things, or I visualize things, or I kind of hope for things. And then the universe, I don't know if it's listening, I have no idea, but things are happening. And I didn't think in the heat of COVID with the situations going on that it would happen. And it has. So thank you.
Yeah.
Everything's coming into fruition.
What type of like avenues of business is your business model? Like, how do you know which direction to go? It seems like a lot of different types of businesses could happen out of this, right? Like, how do you decide which one to go through and which not?
That's a crazy thing. Like I'm still learning things about this all the time. Like what works, what doesn't work, where like the next step is, what's like, I have no idea. But like you said, like I could literally go wherever with it. So that's going to be like my next task, my next challenge. But I think whatever he does, or whatever the path he's going to go on, it's going to be successful, because it seems like whatever he does, it's gold. So I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea.
I feel like some cool like vintage retro merchandise would be cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Like some classic stuff, like t-shirts, like just the old logos and stuff like that would be awesome.
Yeah, I've got different like companies, toy companies, video game companies, and I have to be very careful because my dad is still under a WWE contract. So I own the British Bulldog name, but I just have to be very careful with that because I don't want to make WWE mad. But yeah.
That's crazy. They're still on. How does that work? Like he's still under contract with WWE, but the British Bulldog Companies, like that's a totally different company than the British.
Completely different. Yeah,
but he's still ongoing. He's still ongoing contract with them, or crazy.
Yeah. So when like they do their video games or their merchandise or like Hall of Fame, he's all a part of that. So he gets royalties, or my family gets royalties for that. But then anything outside of that, like different, like the beer I was telling you about, there's like some other toys of him coming out. That's all me. Like that's all British Bulldog Companies. That's separate. But yeah.
I didn't realize there'd be so much like rules behind it, right? Like I contracts, I'm assuming. I saw you signed a few contracts, but yeah, there's probably a lot of contracts that you have to go through to make sure you're actually doing it proper then.
Exactly. And I have to really be careful, because any little thing that I don't know if it's any WWE picture or anything, like that WWE will like, they'll get a little message like you need to take that down, otherwise we'll take legal action. It's like, okay, whoops. Yeah.
You're like,
it's crazy.
I'm the daughter. What? You're gonna take legal action on me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's happened. Or they'll be like, "What are you doing?" Like, "I'm sorry, whoopsie." Yeah. They're okay with me, but there'll be some companies and they'll be like, "Georgia, what is this? Why am I getting like a letter from them?" And I'm like, "Uh-oh, take it down now."
That's pretty cool. And your mom is actually Bret, like you're related to Bret Hart then?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So my mom, as you guys saw, the Hart house, that was my grandpa Stu's house. And in that house, they had 12 kids. Yeah. And my mom's one of the 11th of 12. Owen was the 12th. Bret was Smith, Bruce, Keith, Wayne, Dean, Ellie, Georgia. Bret was the 8th of the kids. Oh, wow. Yeah.
So you're actually related to them. Like, I didn't know that. I was just taking a look online and I was like, oh, your mom's Diana Hart.
Yep. That's yeah. So I've got wrestling in both sides.
Oh, damn. That's awesome. Because your grandpa was essentially like the pioneer of some of the early wrestling in Canada too. So that's
I didn't even know that.
You didn't know that? Oh, I thought you did.
Yeah.
How many kids?
12.
12. That's crazy.
That's
and
like
then
wrestling dynasty here.
Yeah,
it's cool.
crazy. Lindsay and Brooke, right?
Yeah, I know Lindsay and Brooke. Yeah.
Lindsay and Brooke, my aunt Allison is their mom, and Allison is my mom's sister. So Allison is Smith, Bruce, Keith, Wayne, Dean, Ellie, Georgia, Brett, Allison. She's the ninth. She's after Brett.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. I bumped into her like, I don't know, a year ago at the grocery store. It's been
Lindsay or
so
Brooke?
Brooke.
Oh, Brooke.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, it's been like 10 years.
Oh my
So
God.
yeah. No, but I remember going a lot and wrestling on the rink with everyone there. So it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, we had fun.
Yeah.
It was a fun childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then we had, I don't know if you saw it, but we had the dungeon in the basement, which was like the green mat and the wood panels around there.
Yeah.
So that's like where we played in like the winter time, and then summertime you saw there was the wrestling ring out there, and we play like 4-corner tag. Or like we'd get like a hose and like get it wet and like we'd like slide all in it because the wrestling ring was like vinyl.
Yeah.
So yeah, we had fun.
That was fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What would you say like the hardest thing you've had to learn since starting the business? The biggest struggle?
Probably to just not give up, because sometimes like, and with my dad's stuff, it's not so bad. Like I'm just, like I said, I don't take no for an answer, and I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like I kind of just keep plowing on, but I just try to instill like, just don't give up. And another thing is just like, don't take anything like personally, whether it's in business or it's, I run my dad's stuff, and I get like different insults and comments and just people putting in their 2 cents. Like I get it like all the time. And if it's not like about my dad, they like attack me. And sometimes like I want to like engage in it, not engage, but be like, excuse me, like, how dare you? Like, I'm his daughter and you're writing this stuff on here, like have some respect. But with that stuff, you have to just like, you can't let it like it impact you. You gotta just be like delete, block, or just delete it. Because these people want a reaction, and they know how I feel about my dad, and they want to, for some reason they get like some sick thing where they want me to react to it. So, and I've gotten like some horrible things, and I just have to be like, all right, because would Michael Jordan, if he got some nasty comments, would that impact his day?
No. Yeah.
Would he react to it? Would he engage or respond? No. So it's like, I feel like, and if I do respond, does that make me feel any better? Not really.
Yeah.
So it's just like, it just says a lot about them. And, you just got to be like, all right, well, if that's what you think, feel free, don't follow me, but don't say that. Just be like, block, delete.
Yeah. You must get a lot though, right? Because like the more it grows, the more you grow, the more business grows, the more haters are going to come.
You hit the nail on the head. That's exactly it. And you're exactly right, because as this has grown more and more and more, I'm getting more and more haters. And I'm like, okay, I must be doing something right then. And like, I'm not like a huge fan of the Kardashians or anything, but you look at them and they get like, I can't even imagine like the amount of hate they get. But it's like, do you really hate them, or are you guys like just jealous because they're successful?
Yeah.
I don't know. So
it's like an underlying thing on them, right? And like, you can't control how other people feel or do, but if you can have control over yourself, then that's all that matters, really. Because like,
you hit the nail on the head. Exactly.
Yeah, because like, people are going to come, they're going to say what they're going to say. At the end of the day, they're going to continue watching, doing what you do. They're just like fans, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So just let them keep on your path, keep consistent, and just keep on growing, and let them haters hate. So.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, well, go on ahead, keep watching me, okay, well, I'll be getting that check, so keep it coming. Whatever.
Exactly.
Initially though, were you responding back to them? Oh, you were. And it obviously didn't feel good after, or
no.
Yeah.
Early days I was like, oh no, you didn't, oh god. And like sometimes like it'd be like back and forth, and I'm like, this is a waste of time. I'm like, what am I getting out of this? But I didn't really understand. I was just like, because I take so much pride and passion into what I'm doing. And my dad, it's like, if you're going to insult my deceased dad, it's like, get a life.
Attention, your
So,
battery is fully charged. Please
Whatever.
unplug the power adapter.
Ignore that woman. That just was
I was like, is that ours or is that? I was like,
but yeah, so that's my advice. And like, that's some things that like, just don't take it like personally, because it's a waste of time.
well, at what point did you ended up stop? Like, you just block them, delete them, and just don't say anything? At what point did you realize like this was just a waste of your time?
Honestly, I was listening to like different podcasts, like what you guys have. I was listening to one that was called Start Today by a guy named Chris Cavallini, who's like into fitness. Coincidentally, lives in Tampa, and he has like a food prep company, and he was in and out of jail and in the army. And you know, he talks to different wrestlers, and they were just saying how like, oh my God, like different wrestlers saying like, I get so much hate and like racist things and this and that. And but it's like, it's and it happens, you know, it's crazy. It doesn't just happen to me, it happens to all sorts of people in walks of life and success. And once I kind of heard like their stories and how they're like, oh, and some people like they just love the hate. They like the wrestlers like Jinder Mahal, who's coincidentally from Calgary, but he was like, oh, he's like, I like to get high off like these like comments, like keep it coming because you guys hate me and I'm doing something right. But once I heard kind of their stories, I was like, all right. Because when people attack you and you respond, I think it's showing weakness from me. It's showing that I'm weak because that's bothering me, and I'm proving that it's bothering me. And it's like that old saying, like the opinion of a sheep with a lion. I can't remember that saying. The lions don't lose sleep over the opinion of sheep or something.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
something like that.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's so true. And it's like if you had like a big dog walking and then like a little yappy dog's like, bah, 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 bah. What's that big dog gonna do? The big dog's like just gonna look at it and just keep walking.
Yeah.
And I heard that and I was like, wow. Yeah. And it's because the dog's yapping because it's like, oh, that dog's more superior. It's doing better. It's bigger. And this dog's like insecure. If that makes any sense. I'm just using a lame example, but
It's a defense mechanism.
Defense mechanism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you've been developing yourself as the company grows too. Then as the company grows, you're forced to grow also as a person. So it seems right.
Definitely.
And like how you deal with things. And I feel like that's with a lot of businesses is if you want your business to grow, it's like it's actually you that has to grow in order for the business to grow or take it to the next level, right?
Yeah,
So-
I'm growing with this all the time, and like I've learned a lot, and like the person I am today to when I first started is a completely different person in like in all ways, shapes, and forms. And like I was a very kind of like lost. I feel like I was almost like just like a girl. And now I feel like I'm a woman now, if that makes sense. That probably sounds really cheesy, but that's how I feel. I feel like I'm like, okay, throw whatever at me, like I can handle it. Like and I feel a lot like stronger, and I've grown with this, and I feel a lot more secure and confident and better about myself. Whereas before I was very, like I said, very kind of lost and didn't know what I was doing. And I just did this kind of on a whim. And yeah, so, and now I'm like, okay, this has become successful, and I seem to be like a go-getter type of person where like I make things happen, you know. And as you guys saw, like I didn't have anything, all I had was my phone, and I made it work. Now I'm like, okay, well, now that I've done all that and I've ticked all those boxes, now I'm kind of like, okay, well, where does Georgia go now? Where does she go? What's next for her? Because, you know, I'll always keep running my dad's thing, and that journey's not going to end ever. And I'm still going to be heavily involved because I'm the face, I'm ahead of it. But now I'm like, okay, well, now that that's kind of done, you know, him in the Hall of Fame, the documentary boxes are done. What's next for me? So now I'm like, okay, where does Georgia go with the brand? Like, how do I branch out? So I've been thinking about different ideas, different business things, and I'm kind of like scared because I'm like, oh boy, like I've never really put myself out there. It's always been like my dad. So now I'm like, okay, well, this is like a new chapter that I'm going into. And I'm like, Yeah, so
That's exciting though.
it's exciting though.
Because it's just creating new possibilities for you in that world, right? Because
Mhm.
you were kind of mentioning before that you liked what Shannon Lee was doing with like Bruce Lee's legacy and stuff like that. So I feel like that would be actually a good person to you just to reach out to and have a conversation
I
with.
think you're right. I think you're
yeah.
right. I always comment and stuff, and she always
Yeah.
likes it, but I don't know if she'll like read a message. But you know, you never
Yeah.
know.
You never
like-
know. Yeah.
Yeah, because like now, like I think with Bruce Lee, like they have a show based on like some writings of his and stuff like that, like on HBO. So it's like it's gone so far from where she took it and carried on the legacy. So I feel like that could be a future for you as well too.
I think you're right. And also like Bruce Lee, he died in like the early 70s.
Yeah,
And
Yeah.
it's just crazy. Like,
it still lives on.
yeah, it
Yeah.
still moves on. And there's always, like you said, different specials. And I would love that for my dad. And I feel like it's going in that way, which I'm very grateful for. And you know, my dad, he deserves like all the credit in the world. And you know, I just wish I just so wish he was here for it. And if he was here, I would be probably doing the same thing for him. But I just hope that he sees what I'm doing and is happy. So
Have you ever thought about doing like marketing or something with Harry?
like working with him with this type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Like
elevating his social media, his branding.
He's kind of like he kind of marches to the beat of his own drum. Like he's like I was telling you about Wrestle Merch, who does the store for my dad. They've just opened one up for Harry, and I'm like, and Harry's girlfriend or friend now, but she was like, she was really trying to help him run his social media, trying, and she's like, you got to do these podcasts, you got to push this, you got to do this, and he's like, okay. But then like he's just like so focused on training, like it's just kind of like not on his radar. It's not like a priority for him. So he's gonna do what Harry wants to do. But that makes Harry different. He's Harry. And he I don't know if you guys have seen his social media, but it's very random, and he's just his own little character. But anything that I need help with, I'll be like, oh, there's a wrestling question that I'll get, and I'll be like, Harry, can you help me? And he helps me in that sense. And he's carrying on my dad's legacy. He's going wrestling as Davey Boy Smith Jr. and wrestling in like my dad's gear, and he's doing that, and he's kind of doing his own thing. But yeah, it's just mostly just me.
That's cool though. It's cool that your brother and you are carrying on your dad's legacy in two different ways, right? So I was actually just looking at that yesterday, just doing some research on it, and I saw that Harry had been going as alias as Davey Boy Jr. So that's pretty cool that he's kind of carrying on that with his name, and also just wrestling in that. Because how long has he been wrestling for now?
Oh boy. Well, he had his first match, I think, when he was like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah, in Rockyford, Alberta. Yeah, when there used to be like shows in the summer, and when we come and visit from Florida, he had a match. But yeah, that's when he had his first like pro match. So he's been doing it for some time, and I think he's really grown. And I think him wrestling as my dad's name has given him like confidence and has helped him find himself and find where he's going in his path. Because moving forward, I don't think he's going to keep wrestling as Davey Boy Smith Jr. I think he's going to go back to Harry. But when he first was in WWE, they're like, Harry's not a fighting name. We got to give you. And they gave him a different name. And then when he left WWE, it was Davey Boy Smith Jr. But now he's like, I'm Harry. I'm Harry now. Like this is me. So with WWE, when they came and filmed us, that's what they wanted to talk about. They're like, how do you think of Harry wrestling as Davey Boy Smith Jr. and you're doing all of this? And it's, WWE, like they've taken notice of like what we're doing. And I'm very grateful for that. And, they're doing the documentary that I've worked really hard on helping them with. And I can't wait to see it. I'm kind of nervous to see it, but
what's this documentary? Is it for WWE? Yeah.
So it's on WWE Network. It's coming out. I don't know like the specific date of when it's coming out, but it's called Icons. And so their first episode that they aired in February last month, sometime I think it was Yokozuna. So if you guys remember Yokozuna,
Oh my God.
Yokozuna was the first episode, and then the next episode's a diva who's now retired named Beth Phoenix, and then they're gonna have Rob Van Dam, and they're gonna have Lex Luger. And I'm thinking if there's anybody else, and then it's my dad. So my dad, in my opinion, besides Yokozuna, and they wanted to start off with like a big person, a headliner. So Yokozuna is going to start, and I think my dad's going to finish it. And WWE just saw the things that I was doing, and Harry wrestling with my dad's name, and it's just crazy. So I can't wait for that to air. And then WrestleMania is in Tampa next month, April 11th and 12th. And then they're going to have the Hall of Fame. So WWE every year, besides last year with the pandemic, they do WrestleMania, and then they do the WWE Hall of Fame when they honor and award legends. And my dad was supposed to go in last year, but because it didn't happen. So they're doing it this year. So that's happening next month. The documentary's coming out. So it's all coming together.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Sounds like all the work that you put in is coming finally together for you, right? What advice would you give someone that's kind of, I know it's a hard question, but kind of doing what you're trying to do with the business here that you didn't know?
Any advice? Well, like I said before, like don't take things personally. Just be consistent with it, and don't go in expecting like, oh, I'm gonna make all this money and I'm gonna do this, and like just make a list of things that you want to accomplish. And that's where I would start out with, and like think about why you're doing this, and just be consistent with it. Work at it, chip at it every day. Just like somebody that wants to like lose weight, or somebody that wants to get a better job, or somebody. It's like if you need a plan. You need and I didn't really have a plan, but over time, that's when I started making lists and doing things. And but that's what I would do. I would first thing make a list and do that. Don't take things personally. Work at it every day. Be consistent. Don't listen to people that say no, or that it's not going to work, or because people a lot of people didn't take what I was doing seriously. They just thought like it was just some fun little Instagram page I had. And now it's like, well, it's not that anymore. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Well, when we've been following each other, like I've had you as a friend on Instagram, but yeah, the last couple of years, I've seen that progression of like you working really hard to get it going, right? And I think that's what people don't see if they're just jumping onto your page right now, like what you had to start with.
Yeah,
right? And
no idea.
Yeah, right. So I think it's like persistent is like very key for a business. If you're not persistent with it and consistent, and if you don't have the passion, it's harder to stay persistent with it, right? So you definitely have the passion for it. So it's gonna keep growing, I feel, for you.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Thank you. I feel like that too. And I think a lot of people feel like that. And I'm just glad. Thank you. Thank you. That's how I feel. Just very grateful.
Yeah. What's one thing you want to leave the guests, or anything inspiring you want to say, or just you want to share before?
Just keep like putting yourself out there. Just keep putting what you love out there, and just and that's in business as well. Like just get in people's faces, but also just have a positive mindset, and just try to put that positivity out there. And I know it's hard, and I'm like not very an optimistic person. I'm kind of a pessimistic, and I'm like kind of negative. But with something you love, you gotta just have that positive attitude, and just try to put it out there, and people will get behind you. And I don't know if it's like the law of attraction, or
what would you say helped you do that though? Like from you changing, what helped you make that shift to put yourself out there more?
I think because I just wanted it to go to the next level. And I felt like it kind of was not a plateau, but I felt like with my dad's stuff, I was just think like, okay, I've done this. Well, we can do better. We can do better. We can be greater. We can take this to another level. And I think that's what I did. And
Just not being comfortable.
Yeah. Don't be comfortable. That's a very good point. Don't be comfortable with it. And if you're comfortable and if you're not waking up every day and it's not something you want to be doing, then you shouldn't do it then.
I totally agree on that. A lot of businesses I was not happy with, and that's why I'm not in a lot of those businesses anymore, right? So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and I'm just such a different, like, I don't know, my brain and everything about me, like I'm so different. I can't do like the 9 to 5. I can't, and it's not been easy. I mean, trust me, I've done that. I've been there, as we all have been, but you got to find like what, fulfills your heart and, what you, like we were talking about, like wake up and want to do. And, yeah. So yeah, I was never good at school. I was never really a whole lot of good at anything, but this is something that I am good at. And I feel like my experiences, whether it was working in retail or whether it was working at iHeart or things that I did, that's all helped me shape what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I think that's also once you find something that you're into, all your past experience becomes just like transferable skills into like the bigger picture, right? Because like at that time, obviously when you were looking for those jobs and stuff like that, they were an interest at that time. But now, it's funny, as you get older, like all the things that you've learned in the past just really help you guide to what you're doing now, and just like it helps really hone your skills out for that. So
yeah, exactly, that's exactly how I feel. So I mean, that was kind of like a long-winded inspiring thing, but I hope that made sense.
Made sense.
Okay,
awesome. Where can we find you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Georgia J. Smith. I'm on Twitter at twitter.com/GeorgiaSmith87. I'm on Facebook, facebook.com/GeorgiaSmith7. And my dad's Instagram is at the British Bulldog Davy Boy Smith. He's on Twitter at _Davy Boy Smith. He's on Facebook, facebook.com/the British Bulldog. He's got a YouTube channel, which is the British Bulldog. He's also got a TikTok, British Bulldog, always British Bulldog. And he's got this website, which is www.davyboysmith.com. So if you want frequently asked questions, or if anybody has a question after watching this or listening to this, feel free to look at that. I've got my dad's diet, his workout on there, different media things that I've done, interviews, press. So when this is done, I will put it on my dad's site. Any news, his stores are on there, bios. It's just all Davy content. And so feel free to, if you guys are on the website, subscribe to that and follow him on Instagram with all of his news and content. And yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna check it out right now. Awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for having us on. It was great chatting with you and just hearing the story about the life and your dad's legacy. So.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I'm still, learning the tricks of the trade, but it's going, and I'm just so glad you guys, are a part of this journey with me. And thank you for having me. And during this whole thing with COVID, we're making it work.
For sure. Next time you come down to Calgary, we'll grab a coffee.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. For sure.
Awesome.
Thanks. Okay. Thanks, Georgia.
Yeah. Thank you so much.